So, do you consider cycling to be safe?
Yes, I and all of the Worcester wheelmen consider cycling to be safe.
So if you consider cycling to be safe, why are you always crashing?
We're not always crashing. Why, just yesterday I went cycling and did not crash.
Yes, just yesterday you did not crash, but the time before, when you went riding you did crash.
That is true. I did crash the time before the last time I went cycling. But it was not my fault. Cycling is definitely very safe.
If it was not your fault that you crashed, why did you crash?
I crashed because the ground was wet and there was leaves on the ground. I cannot control the rain and how it makes the road slippery. And I cannot be responsible for leaves falling from the trees onto the ground.
And how about the time you crashed before, when we had to spend $3,000 to replace the frame that broke?
That time I crashed because I was going very fast. And unfortunately, my computer did not tell me the correct speed. In retrospect, I was probably doing 50 or 60 miles per hour, but the computer said I was doing a relatively slower 34. So, while cycling is very safe, I cannot be responsible for a computer giving me incorrect information leading to a no-fault loss of control of the bike.
And how about the time you crashed before that?
The time before, I crashed because I accidentally, meaning it was not my fault, touched my front wheel into the wheel of the person in front of me. He should not have been riding so close in front of me, and should have been more careful. I cannot be responsible for the other rider's behavior. If you ask another rider to change his riding, he will not do it. If you yell at him to change how he rides, he will ignore you.
And how about the time you crashed before that?
The time before, I crashed because the curb came too close to my bike. I cannot be responsible for the quality of road and curb construction.
And the time you crashed before that?
The time before, I crashed because there was a piece of large trash on the road, and I bumped into it. If only the person at the front of the line had alerted us to the hazard in time to avoid it, I would not have crashed. It was not my fault, and should not reflect on the overall safety of cycling.
Yes, I do think I understand. Clearly, cycling is indeed very safe. However, extremely rare crashes do appear to occur, not because of any fault of the rider, but completely due to circumstances entirely beyond their control. Is there any way to avoid these hazards?
Yes. Fritz, who is 75 years old and has been cycling his entire life, says if we only rode like he learned to ride in Luxembourg, we would all be safe and never have accidents. He says he was riding a bicycle when we were all still shitting in our diapers. Clearly he has the knowledge and experience to be an extremely safe rider.
Well, if Fritz knows how to ride even safer, since cycling is already a very safe activity, what suggestions does he have?
Well, I suppose the best way to ride like Fritz is to watch how he rides and do exactly the same thing.
Yes. If he has ridden so safely these many years, I agree that observing and imitating his riding habits would perhaps be a great way to make the extremely safe sport of cycling even safer. Can you give me a couple of examples of such safe riding behavior?
Yes, it can give you a couple of examples. Thank you for asking. Here's one example. Most people ride a foot behind the rider in front of them. Fritz often does not. In fact, he rides so close, he actually overlaps by a foot with the wheel of the bike in front of him. This is apparently called half-wheeling, and from that term I suspect that it means it reduces the accident risk in half.
That's a really great example of great riding skills. Can you offer another?
Yes, I can. And this one is very counterintuitive. One would think that when you go into the street to move from the front of the line to the rear, you should look back to see if cars are coming. Fritz never does this. I suspect he believes the real danger is always in front, so you should never look back. It takes your eyes off of the front.
But why not use a rear view mirror to check if cars are coming? Then you don't have to look back and take your eyes off of the front.
Yes, but Fritz does not use any mirror. And he has never been hit from behind. So clearly looking back just increases accidents, so you shouldn't do it.
Yes, you've convinced me. Cycling is an extremely safe activity which can be made even more safe by utilizing the wisdom and experience of older riders.
Great. Do you want to get our bikes and go for a ride?
Absolutely not. What do you think I am, completely nuts? I'll stick with Mahjong, where the only danger is from people I've won lots of money from, and are really pissed off at me, because I'm such a good Mahjong player. I've got a good left jab and sharp right hook, so I'm not too worried about them, though.
Well, if you won't go riding with me, how about we go to Whiskers, and have a burger and beer, and I can sweet talk you some more.
Wow. What an offer. How did I get so lucky to have you?
I assure you, the luck is mine.